What up? It's your boy K-Blao, HoodX, www.hoodx.com. Sign up for HoodX. You already know what it is. Obviously, this video is called Why I Hate Geminis. Before we get into Geminis, I want to explain these because these are glasses. These make me look a lot more intelligent and a lot more as 50 Cent saying, non-confrontational as if I didn't have these on. Because if I took these off and I looked at you in your eyes like this, you would probably fucking run off scared. And that's why I wore these as a symbol as for what I'm doing today, which is the Gemini. Because what you see on the surface up front, there's always something lurking behind that's totally different from what you got up front. So that's why I want to explain these glasses up front. Alright, so I also want to say that I just got done drinking an entire bottle of Jack Daniels and smoking a whole blunt to the head right before I cut this camera on. So as I'm talking to you, the person you're getting right now is going to be a totally different person about halfway into the video. It's going to be a pretty long video because I did a lot of research. You see, I got a lot of notes. You know what I'm saying? This is not going to be easy for me to get through because a lot of people who follow my page already know that, like, I've been saying this for months that, you know, why I hate Gemini was coming. So, you know, because there's a lot of work that went into this. So I have a lot of notes. It's going to be a pretty long video. As a lot of people know, I would like to be real specific, so you know that's why I took a lot of notes. So also sign up for hoodx.com, follow me on there. I'm gonna start an astrology section, so you can go on there and you can you know, follow my astrology videos, you know, follow my group. It's on hoodx.com. I appreciate it. All right, also Geminis, listen, this is for entertainment. All right, you know, I did a video about why I hate Pisces. People loved it, people hated it, you know, and they asked me to do certain signs. So if you've never seen my page, you go through my other videos, you see that I made other videos that talk about why I hate certain signs, only because people asked me to do it, and it just started out as something that grew into something else. Alright, so I do not really hate Geminis. This is for entertainment. This is for requests. People who follow my page ask me to do this. Alright, so let's get into it. Why I hate Geminis. Alright. First of all, wait, actually, before I even go into my notes, I just want to tell you, like, I grew up, this is very difficult for me to kind of do, because a lot of my friends growing up was Gemini. These are some of my best friends. And as I grew older, I began to notice things about Gemini. It was very difficult. I was very biased towards Geminis, because I'm also an air sign, and so I relate, because a lot of things that come natural about air sign negative traits, I have the same thing. So that's why I'm kind of biased towards Gemini. That's why I try to reason why they do these things, because I grew up with a lot of Gemini friends and I understand the mentality. But at the same time, once you learn your shadow self, your dark self, it helps you grow. So I'm hoping that you can watch this video and grow from it, and don't think I'm up here talking shit trying to fuck with you if you're a Gemini. You know what I'm saying? Because I loved Geminis growing up. But I did, as I started to study Gemini behavior, there's a reason a lot of people ask me, why do I hate videos? You know what I'm saying? There's another, you know, I do it for entertainment, people request it, but also I do it from a dark side, because if you watch, like, the TV show, it's called Mr. Robot. You know, he says on there, you really don't know somebody until you know their dark side. You know, until you know their negative side. That's when you really know. You know what I'm saying? Because you know typically what buttons not to push, or to push if you're that type of person. Me, I typically try not to push those buttons. But okay, so here we go. Why I hate Geminis. When you're dealing with a Gemini, first of all, you have to go into it. Don't expect any sympathy whatsoever from these people. These people are ruthless, cold-blooded creatures. They will show you no sympathy whatsoever. If you're dating a Gemini, the first date is always going to be the first date. And you will find yourself in a relationship always trying to get back to that first date when y'all went out and wherever you went to a restaurant, a club, somewhere he took you, or you went and shot pools, a whole bunch of people around socializing somewhere, and you went home, maybe had a couple of drinks, maybe smoked a little something, had sex, drinks, great night, perfect night, took you home, perfect gentleman. You will never get that night again dealing with a Gemini. You don't have to be emotionally attached to have sex. This is how Geminis think. They say, okay, look, you know, this is what a lot of Gemini females I've known are whores. Like, they'll prostitute themselves and don't see it as prostituting. Like, they'll justify themselves in their mind that they're not whores. this is classic Geminis. They have something going on inside their mind where like they know that they're whore. They you know they take money for sex, but somehow they still just don't see themselves as whores and prostitutes. You know, because they just naturally see as, hey, you don't have to be emotionally attached to somebody to have sex. So say if I get paid for it too, they'll get paid for it. You know, that's just a lot of Geminis kind of naturally see themselves. They also participate in orgies and stuff like that. So, you know, with random people, like they'll find themselves in an orgy, random people never met before, and find themselves having unprotected sex. You know, Geminis will do this, you know, because they're not emotionally attached to the situation to have sex. So don't expect, if you're with a Gemini, do not expect them to propose to you. Do not expect them to want to marry you. You know what I'm saying? It's, you know, it's rare that Geminis outgrow that inner child that makes them want to get up and say, you know, hey, I want to marry the person I'm with. You know, because they always got that the grass is greener on the other side, you know, mentality. Hey, and I'm also probably gonna say a couple things in here twice. You know, like I said, I'm totally fucked up right now, and like I said, I'm probably gonna fuck this up a couple times, but so I'm trying to follow this, but I may say a couple things twice, just up front, just so you know. All right, so who else we got? We got yeah, the double mint lit. The double mint. You ever see the pack of gum? Double mint has two arrows pointing in the same opposite direction. It's kind of how Geminis think. Like they it's like a sword. It's double sided. You know. Well, I kind of see what he means, but I also can understand where this person's coming from. So they try to capture, like, you know, try to have an outside the box perspective. You know, that's why a lot of times they do with media, stuff like that, where they can just, you know, find themselves recording or you know, documenting some drama that's going on instead of actually participating in it. Angelina Jolie is a Gemini. She wants to say anything that feels good couldn't possibly be bad. A lot of Geminis have that mentality. That's why they have sex with random people. They love everyone from a distance. You know, when you first meet them, you say, "Wow, this is a very interesting person. I would love to be around this person." But you don't see yourself as just another wheel on the spoke of what's, you know, just turning. Their life is just, you know, every day how life just turns. They're kind of aware of life like that. So when they have an interaction with you, they're fully prepared because they've been analyzing how the wheels are turning. So like by the time they get to you and they run into you, they're saying things that you're, at first you're like, wow, this is a very interesting person, but you don't realize how you're just another spoke on the wheel, you know, and they kind of treat you like that, but you're not aware of that when you first meet them because the interaction a lot of times will be so keen. So you have to understand that they love everybody from a distance. So don't expect, you know, that continual, you know, open friendship to stay the same. These people would like to gather and distribute information. So, you know, a lot of times they'll have music before other people get it, like when Kazaa, LimeWire, what was it, Napster, you know, certain remixes and stuff like that. These type of people have all that shit before it even come out, like weeks stuff. For you, like, how the hell did he get that before it even came out? You know what I'm saying? So, because these type of people like to gather and distribute information. Problem with that, a lot of times they do fraudulent shit. So these people saying things like sell bootleg movies, you know, pirated movies with people walking in front of the camera, shit like that. You know what I'm saying? These type of people sell that shit. You know what I'm saying? They say you a bootleg movie that don't work. You know what I'm saying? Shit like that. Because they gather and distribute information, but it's not concrete. It's just a little too abstract. So like these aren't the people who, I ain't saying that all the time, but like, you know, typically they try to keep up with the fad instead of like maintaining a specific, you know, niche. And this isn't all the time, but you know, a lot of times they don't break themselves off into a specific, like say, look, this is how I'm gonna do this, and that's gonna be it. You know, they try to be all over the place a lot of times when they gather in and distribute information. Geminis make excellent spies, like, you know, especially double agents. Like, if you ever see the movie In Too Deep with what's his name? Omar Epps, I think his name is. Is it Omar Epps? He was, and it had LL Cool J, and he was a police officer, and he was, you know, spying on LL Cool J, but he was a cop, and he was in too deep, meaning that he wasn't sure whether or not he was still a cop or he was in too deep with LL Cool J. And there's other movies like that where, you know, people are playing a double spot. They're on this side, they're on this side, they don't really know which side they're on. You know, when they get lost, a lot of Geminis are kind of like that, like double agents. The opposite of a Gemini Sagittarius So that means, you know, you look at the symbol of Sagittarius, you got the arrow, the boy and arrow pointing up, ready to shoot it. So Gemini kind of opposite, so they kind of scatter all over the place. They don't really have a direct target. So their minds kind of scattered. They're trying to wear multiple hats instead of, you know, Sagittarius who wants to wear one hat, be direct, on point. Gemini, nah, it's opposite. You gotta kind of think of Gemini like an encyclopedia with, you know, a whole bunch of encyclopedias. Remember back in the day, people had encyclopedias, big books up on their shelves. It had A, B, C, D, it was labeled, had numbers and stuff on it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. Well, Geminis are kind of like that as far as the way they hold information. The problem is that if you open up each book, you find out like every other page is missing. You know, on the surface it looks like it's a lot of information, but you know, in this encyclopedia, there's about, encyclopedia collection, there's about 900 pages missing. So that could be a problem, and that's a lot of times how you gotta look at Gemini. Natalie Portman, who's a Gemini, her real name is Natalie Hirschlag. And this is something that a lot of Jews do when they come to America, but at the same time, Geminis will do this. Like they'll have 3, 4 names. So you might find yourself in a situation with Gemini. And over here there'll be James, and over here there'll be, you know, last name's Taylor. You know, even in the military, so everybody calls him Taylor. And over here he's a DJ, so his name be, you know, DJ Echo or something like, you know what I'm saying. Over here he's a rapper, so his name is, you know, whatever his rap name is. And that's how they have multiple faces, they're multiple names for multiple personalities. A lot of times, Natalie Portman, who's her name, Natalie Hirschlag, is a great example of that. These type of people go on a trip and leave you. You know, you arrive on day one, everybody, they'll go to the room, you know, throw all their bags down, you know, run right out the door and dip out and jump on the first trolley and leave you. You know what I'm saying? That's how they get down. They don't necessarily see nothing wrong with that. They be like, okay, I'm going to go enjoy myself. You going to enjoy yourself. You know, they don't necessarily have no regard, you know, to the fact that, you know, that they just expect you to naturally respect their freedom. That's how they see it, but they don't realize that sometimes they're just being an asshole. These type of people start new projects and not without finishing the old ones. So they'll say, like, okay, look, hey man, let's rent this club out and do blah 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 blah. But at the same time, they're working on their rap album, so you know, they might book a session for their rap album or some new business, some pyramid scheme that they enjoy, some, you know, appointment that they got to go to that they'll swear it's not a pyramid scheme. You know, they have some appointment that they got to go to on that day, but then they had to record an album. They had a session with another artist who was supposed to come through and record on that day, but then over here, you know, they had something going on with their family, you know, and so they'll start other things. You know, like you're trying to do the club thing. You're like, hey man, let's do the club thing, but he's not telling you he's got all this other stuff going on. So at some point you're gonna get put on hold, just like the rest of the other things. So a lot of times they don't see this coming as well. So you gotta know that about them up front. Yeah, same thing. Like these type of people who build, like they got fans or they get, you know, clients and stuff like that. That they'll still be searching for new clients without really handling the clients that they have, you know what I'm saying, or really mastering. A lot of times, like Gemini's being pyramid schemes, stuff like that, where they got to recruit people, you know what I'm saying, where they'll focus on the new people without really working on the ones that they already have, because they're always having it, you know, the grass is green on the other side. So that's what we call spooks. People, they're always kind of looking for spooks instead of the people that's right there, right in front of them. I'm gonna tell you why later on. We're gonna get to that. They paranoid, obviously paranoid. A lot of times, always thinking people talking about them. You look at Tupac. Tupac was a perfect example of that. They always think like, I know something that you don't know. They always think they have one up on you as far as on the information. I know something that you don't know. Not necessarily it's a secret like how cancers are, but you know, because they do like to share information, they like to talk shit a lot of times about what they know. So that's their steed a lot of times. But as Method Man say, you know my steed. That's how Gemini, that's what they standpoint. That's what they be on. They say, I know shit that you don't know. Their romance is kind of superficial. When if they're romantic, a lot of times the spouse will know that whenever they're trying to be romantic, it's situational. It's not really genuine. They're not really romantic people. A lot of times, if they are, it's kind of prepackaged. They believe that rules are stupid. Typically, as soon as you tell them the rules, if they ask you what are the rules, the reason they're asking you is because they want to know where they can bend and possibly break the rules they're not asking the rules to stay within the realms of the rules. They're asking the rules specifically to break them. They have a mentality of monogamy sucks, meaning that they kind of would rather have a platter of women or a platter of men to choose from throughout the week. The black guy, the tall guy, the short guy, the chubby guy, the white guy, the client, the phone guy, the cable guy, or vice versa. They have the Chinese girl, the black girl, the Wednesday girl, the girl who's, a little chubby, the skinny girl, he'll have a whole list of different types of girls that he's choosing from because they believe that monogamy sucks. They have a kind of subconsciously, they believe that, hey, I'm me and you are supposed to be you only when I'm standing here. So whoever you are, when it's like as soon as I disappear, whoever that person is, that's not really you per se, or that's not supposed to be you. You're supposed to be the person that you are when you're around me. This is subconsciously how Geminis think. Your whole life, they, if you're in a relationship with them, or if you're in like a real tight friendship a lot of the time, your perspective on life, the things that you're doing, is superficial to them, unless they're around. They will treat their spouse like an acquaintance in public. A lot of times, they'll introduce their spouse like their friend. When you're looking at a Gemini, I always kind of look at it like this. You ever watch the Royal Rumble, where WWE has each wrestler coming in every, every 3 minutes, every 6 minutes, they have a new wrestler come running in. They go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then new wrestler comes right out, and then before you look up, it's 15 wrestlers in the ring, then it's 20 wrestlers in the ring, and however many, they're all in there rumbling. It's all these different types of personalities. You got big fat black guy, big stinking Chinese guy, and a tall Russian guy, and you got all these different personalities all in the ring wrestling. Well, that's kind of how, if you look inside a Gemini, that's kind of how it'll be a bunch of demons inside of a ring doing Royal Rumble for wrestling, all tackling each other and trying to get to the mind of a Gemini. That's how a lot of times it look inside of a Gemini. So know that dealing with them. If you ever watch Chucky, from the TV show, from the movie Child's Play, Chucky is a perfect example of a Gemini. So when you first buy it, it's the perfect little toy. It smiles, it's cute, it's got the haircut perfect, but then you turn around and the face completely changed. It's got scars all over. You start cursing, trying to kill you, something like that. That's Chucky's definitely a Gemini. A lot of times Geminis be people like used car salesmen. When you think of a used car salesman with a tie, with the hey, how you doing, and the over friendly, just kind of type feeling. Yeah, that's kind of how Geminis are. Used car salesman syndrome. Yeah, they know how to work a room, but they can't work themselves. So like, when they walk up in a room, they not shake hands. Hey, how you doing? What's your name? Oh, nice tie, nice shoes. You got a card? Oh, yeah, thanks. They'll take your card, and then they'll never even call you. Or if they do call you, you hang out once or twice, but there's really no, like I said, they're constantly looking for the next thing. You get old quick. So they don't really know how to, capitalize properly off of the people that they meet. They don't know how to work themselves. They're not patient enough to really sit and listen to big ideas, or able to take the small ideas from the people, the things that they really need, and really bring them to life. They really kind of fall short a lot of times. They, like I say, they know how to work a crowded room full of people, but they don't really know how to close or focus on that particular person without getting distracted and focusing on other people. I'm going to stop this right here and come right back. Okay, we back. Where are we at? Yeah, when they're having sex, a lot of times they will think of other people. They'll think of multiple people, or they'll imagine orgies inside their head if they're having sex with you. It's crazy. Yeah, okay, so there's different type of personalities inside of a Gemini. Like I said, they're like a Royal Rumble full of a bunch of characters. So typically, you have Mike, who's like the 4-year-old boy who's spoiled, or girl who's spoiled, will always want their way, but they will pay the bills, and they will, be aware of their family. but they just don't grow up a lot of times. They on the surface they seem like an adult, but it's really a 4-year-old child driving around inside of a grown person body, paying the bills, having regular conversations with things, but they're just spoiled and mischievous. But then we got Tony. Now Tony's a used car salesman. He's a used car salesman who forgets your name within 30, 45 seconds of meeting you. He's just he has a different business he's joining every week. He's just all over the place. He seems like he's gonna go places once he finally gets his act together, but right now he's just kind of scattered. Then you got Walter. Now this guy, he drinks a lot. He's real nervous. He's always at a bar, always somewhere where the people are partying, always with somewhere just talking. But he just drinks a little too much, smokes a little too much. He's just a little too nervous. You know, once he learns to calm down, he's gonna be good to go. And then you got Charles. Now Charles, this guy's a smooth talker. He's a problem solver. You bring any problem to him, he knows how to solve it. He's squared away. He's very good guy who gets the job done. Then you got Zoltan, who's like the ultimate secret weapon out the box, who's from like outer space, who rules different parts of galaxies, who everybody needs to bow down to because he knows everything that's going to happen next week and the week next month, and he's just the sharpest, tack in the box. So you got all of these different personalities inside of one person. He's jumping from in a day. He's going through these twice. He's going through all of them. He's on one hand, he's a spoiled little boy who handles all his bills, does all that stuff. But then you got Zoltan, who's a god who thinks he's God Almighty. You look at Tupac, you really see that a lot in Tupac. Also saw that a lot in Ultimate Warrior. We're gonna talk about that a little bit later. You ever see like the Christmas light bulbs that be changing different colors and stuff like that? That's kind of how Geminis are. Red, the green, the yellow, the blue. That's how they are, depending on what time, what time you look at it. It's a different color. The Geminis are kind of out of space, looking down on everybody. That's kind of how their perspective is. They look down on us, kind of how the person with a camera in a room with a camera where nobody else has a camera. Like Geminis kind of think like that type of person. These type of people live in turmoil, unstable. The name of Ultimate Warrior was Gemini. The name of the song, he used to come in and go dun 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 dun. The name of the song is called Unstable. And mind, he's a Gemini running into a ring about to go wrestle. And a lot of times, if you watch, there's a documentary out. It's called what's it called? The Self-Destruction of the Ultimate Warrior. Matter of fact, who died, at age 50 early, way early. He took a lot of, drugs, steroids, things like that. Man, when you think about the name of his song, it's called Unstable. He was running into a ring, he was breathing too hard. A lot of other wrestlers should tell him, hey man, why don't you walk, slow down coming into the ring so that way you're not all out of breath when you get in the ring and you're performing. A lot of people say, Ultimate Warrior's form was kind of sloppy the way he used to perform because he was always out of breath. He was So, if you're trying to wrestle with a guy who's out of breath, you got to kind of figure out, okay, well, you got to calibrate now. So, the wrestlers used to tell him, look, man, stop running to the ring, shaking the ropes and all that. But that was his gimmick. He wouldn't listen. But at the same time, it made him unstable in the ring. A lot of times, Geminis kind of got that same thing going on because they're unstable. The way that they breathe, the way that they think, the way that they present themselves. Not necessarily present themselves, because a lot of times they will present themselves as packaged, but behind that, it's unstable. It's like the Ultimate Warrior. And that's why they kind of live in turmoil and in situations that are forever changing. Because, but it's rooted unstable. If you ever see the movie Jumper, a lot of times Gemini is you can really associate the movie Jumper with, especially the fight scenes where they were jumping from country to country, city to city, wherever to wherever, and they was fighting and jumping from. That's how Geminis kind of think a lot of times, and that the movie Jumper is definitely a Gemini movie. Geminis kind of see themselves as like a victim of circumstance a lot of times. It's not really their fault per se to say, well, the way life rolls, the way life moves up and down, I'm moving with it. So it's not really my fault. It was just the way that life positioned us as characters on the stage, and you the one that got played a lot of times. That's a Gemini thing. So they're gonna be on the ball, or they'll find a reason to lie. They'll find a reason to say, "Hey, there's an exception." They reason really good. So they kind of look at. They say, "Don't look at me. Look at the circumstance that I was put in." A lot of times they use that to avoid self accountability and admitting that they was wrong. Um, they look at it like, "Hey, man, I'm just playing the hand that I was dealt." More so you can't really blame me. Life is a game of cards. This is the hand I was dealt. I'm playing the hand I was dealt. So if you got cut, if you got burned, hey, that's on you. It's not on me. It was the circumstance. It was the cards I was dealt. I had to play on the way I was dealt. You ain't know where I've been. You don't know where I come from. That's the kind of mentality they got. These people are obsessed with microphones, cameras, and screens. The fact that they're staring at a screen right now to try to find out about Gemini. I am probably about like the fifth or sixth screen that you've looked at today, or at least the fifth or sixth time that you've looked at a screen today. I'm guessing it's a good chance you looked at other TVs, maybe computer monitors, things like that. These people look at least, 10, 20 screens a day. Also talking into microphones, talking into telephones, talking into all type of electronic devices. This is their world. They are, what's the word? Electronic gurus, for lack of a better word. Um, yeah, it's just the first page. Gemini, these type of people get themselves killed. You look at Tupac, perfect example. Somebody got they killed. Ultimate Warrior, Marilyn Monroe. The list goes on and on. I'm sure if you know any other, you can drop the name in the comment, please, because there's several Geminis who will not rest until they get themselves killed. This is where they come from. Daffy Duck. You look at him, with the briefcase, when he has a little job, little salesman selling things, bouncing around. Old school Daffy Duck, not too old school Daffy Duck, but if you know the era of Daffy Duck I'm talking about, when he was walking around with a briefcase, he was a little salesman and stuff like that, a little slick, talking fast, little black duck. That's he definitely a Gemini. If you look at Two-Face, Harvey Dent from Batman, he was a lawyer. He's a real squared away guy. He was he's a lawyer. He was a city lawyer. He's a DA. Got some acid, something thrown on his face or something. He ended up becoming one of the worst criminals, getting justice for what happened to him and his wife or fiance or something like that. And yeah, he completely switcheroo, and now he jumped from that clique to this clique. That's how Geminis are. They have clique wars a lot of times. They start in one clique, or in this clique, but then say I ain't in either clique. I'm just a DJ, or I'm just a cameraman, so like that. That's how they kind of, they real slick talking motherfuckers. Yeah, they're social traders. They will betray one group of people, or they will betray you to go hang out with another group of people. Shit like that. That's the shit they be on. People talk entirely too much without listening. They know this. Like I said in another video I made, you have to read the fine print when you're dealing with Geminis. They are very strategic. They're very overanalyzed. They're OCD. So you have to be OCD with dealing with them, because you never know what they gonna pull on you, and if they can't pull it, they will. So do not sleep. One of their favorite things to say is, it never is what it seems on the surface. So how things seem on the surface, you gotta kind of be like, okay, this person think I'm asleep. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta look at the situation the same way. It's never what it seems like on the surface, especially when dealing with a Gemini. Life is a non-stop game to a Gemini. Non-stop, everything is game. I'm not taking nothing serious. Lighten up. You don't know what I know. You can't see what I see. It's a game. They're playing a game. Yes, they will cheat in relationships. I know dozens of Geminis who cheated. I ain't gonna say no name. I know dozens of Geminis who cheated, male and female. Like I said before, they look at relationships like a platter. Like they rather have a platter of different people to sleep with. than to be monogamous with one person. Um, they're ruled by Mercury, which is the closest planet to the sun. It's moving around the sun fast as hell. Mercury's the planet of communication. Um, other when you look at Mercury from Earth, you can able to see Mercury going around it. I think it goes around the sun. I think it's like 88 days, something like that. It's real fast. It's glowing because it's hot, and that's how Geminis are. Like they're not really the center focal, the spotlight, but they'll be around the people in this one. They're really circling around them, trying to use their shine to shine onto them. To and they're moving fast as hell. That's kind of how Geminis are when you think of the planet Mercury. Yes, these people love attention. Some of them act like they don't like attention, but they love attention. They love being told that that was a great idea. They love being told that they're the best at what they do. They love being told, things that typical people like to be heard, but specifically rooted in the fact that they want to be acknowledged and they don't want to be forgotten, and they want to be acknowledged and remembered for the great things that they said, the great things that they did, the fact that they showed you things that you normally would have not seen. That's why they love attention. They love that type of attention. Um, they always have a reason why they are not two-faced. People are very good at justifying why they are not two-faced. Why it was an exception for them to go against whatever y'all had came up with. They are very good at doing that. Yeah, Geminis have nightmares. It's very difficult for them to sleep a lot of times at night. By the time they do fall asleep, it'd be super late. Maybe even sometimes the sun be coming up. These people have nightmares. They toss and turn in their bed all night, sweating, headaches, covering their eyes, even still, trying to put a pillow over their head, trying to go to sleep, whatever they can to go to sleep. A lot of, a lot of, a lot of things Gemini play out in their head they can't turn off is their own thoughts. These people are ruled by their thoughts. So when they're up at late at night and they're laying in the bed and it's quiet and the clock is just tick 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 tick, that's when they start. That's when the worry. So all day they can move around all day with no problems. They're super confident, but when they're in the bed at night when it's super quiet and nothing's around and there's no electronics and it's time to just lay there and their body is trying to heal from all these electronic devices that they've been looking at and all this sound that's been bombarding their ear and their body, and their body's in a constant state of nervous energy and shock. Well, by the time they lay down and the room is quiet, there's like a noise in their pineal gland right here in the middle of their skull. It's like a ring and their body is still kind of resonating from all of this light and energy and lack of sunlight and stuff like that. Well, these people have nightmares, because of their body is decaying. Geminis, as they move throughout life, their body and their mind starts to decay. They're not as sharp as they used to be when they were younger. So, but they're still placing themselves in situations thinking that their mind is thinking just as sharp and just as fast. So they're not aware that their mind and their body is beginning to decay because of the situations that they're constantly exposing themselves into. So you have to be aware that they're going to, when it's time for them to lay down, it's time for them to heal. That's going to be almost a traumatic experience for them a lot of times, just to sit and chill and just relax. Because their mind starts ticking, and they're controlled by their mind. They're controlled by these thoughts, so they have nightmares. So this is something you definitely can have to understand about Geminis. A lot of Gemini women, especially overweight women, look like trolls. I've seen this a lot of times. It's not necessarily opposite, because I've seen, Angelina Jolie has a gorgeous face, but I have seen, it's very difficult to diagnose, but sometimes you see it off the corner of your eye. You're seeing certain Gemini women just kind of look like trolls. Darth Sidious from Star Wars trilogy, whatever, the Emperor, the one who ruled over Darth Vader, the one who got thrown down the pit. That dude is a Gemini. He's definitely two-faced, super two-faced. You know what I'm saying? He took over the whole empire. If you follow the story of Star Wars, if you do not know about Star Wars, I would highly suggest you go look up the character Darth Sidious. I forget his other name. He had two names. You know, just like I also think Anakin Skywalker. He's kind of got Gemini qualities too, but that's a whole other story. Machiavelli from if you know who Tupac is. Before Tupac died, he created a whole other alter ego of himself called Machiavelli. But then when he got killed, that was the album that came out right after he died, and that's kind of what propelled him into a myth, a legend, something that was bigger than life, something that was going to last forever, which is exactly what he wanted when he created Machiavelli. It was another version of himself. You know the story about Left Eye. Left Eye, before she died, she kind of changed herself. She was hanging around Suge Knight, changed her name to Nina. You know, but her real name is Lisa Lopez. So you got Lisa Lopez, Left Eye, and you got Nina. It's three different personalities that she can easily spawn herself to at the click of a button. And Tupac, the same way you got Tupac, Machiavelli, and a lot of people see so as Bishop. He had a lot of different faces, characters that he played in different movies and films and things like that. I even remember seeing an interview on Tupac where he said, and so when they asked him about Juice, he said, "Oh well, the character is me. It's really me." He said, "That's me. He's wild. He's crazy." He said that in the interview because, like I said, Geminis literally will become their character. They will create an alter ego and become that person, and there is no separation between their true self and that ego on a subconscious level. But when they hear somebody say something like this, that'd be the only thing that kind of click and get them really to realize that, hey, this person that you're portraying yourself to be is not really who you are. It's just an alter ego that you've kind of tricked yourself into becoming. So when you lay down at night and you think about it, that's where the web gets kind of tangled. So you got to be aware that this is your true self. This is this person that you're portraying yourself to be. This is not who you really are. So know that. You have a clear distinction between that. Listen carefully what I'm saying, Geminis. You must have a clear distinction between this business front or this DJ or whoever you're portraying yourself to be, whoever you're socializing, your friends, whatever, in your real self. You have to really get in tune with your authentic self, because people get lost in that bullshit a lot of times. You jumping from this to that to this person, this type of personality, this fucked up. You need to work on that. Be clear. A lot of Geminis, prostitutes, like I said, still will fuck for free. I've known several Gemini prostitutes back in the day. I used to do documentaries, films, hang around a lot of pimps, shit like that. Long story, I ain't gonna mention no names. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I've been around the prostitute lifestyle and niggas pimping, and I'm from Chicago. We could kind of get exposed to that. It's nothing new to us. But I've seen several prostitutes who was Geminis who will fuck totally for free. Won't even ask for no money. They will. They would fuck their clients for free and shit like that. And it's like, you're supposed to be prostitutes selling pussy for money, but you're giving it away for free. So like, bitch, how the fuck part of the game is that? Yeah, I'm gonna stop and bring it back. Be right back. Geminis will break their word. They will say one thing and then completely switch up. Even though they gave you their word, they'll find a reason why. You want to say, well, no, I didn't get my word about that. I was only about this and that, whatever. Geminis are usually raised by their single mom. They become renegades a lot of times, like rebels with no cause. They just be pissed for no reason for their whole life. Good advice to Geminis. Listen carefully what I'm about to say. Don't run ahead of yourself and get shot in the back of the front of your face by your other real self. Listen, I'm going to say it one more time. Don't run ahead of yourself and get shot in the back of the front of your face by your other real self. Think about it. Yeah, rewind it back. You play it again. Ready? Alright. Insecure about their relationships and social settings. A lot of times they are very introduced. You can have a beautiful spouse, but still be embarrassed to introduce them as their spouse. There's a lot of times spouse won't understand this is something about them because they just are socialites. They're just fucking whores, and they like to run around and whore themselves and fucking do superficial shit all day without necessarily caring about real relationships. So they'll be kind of embarrassed and awkward in social settings, and they're introducing their spouse in the social settings. They will start arguments just for the sake of self-entertainment. So a lot of Geminis I know who gonna leave comments in the bottom, just gonna talk shit just for the sake of talking shit. So I'm already ready for that. These people smoke entirely too much, drink entirely too much. They will sell you a car that breaks down within 30 to 60 days, like a lemon. You know what I'm saying? They will sell you bad drugs at an inflated price. A lot of Geminis claim to be drug dealers, try to sell drugs, try to live that lifestyle. Like that. I've seen that many times. They'll sell you bad drugs, like shitty weed, shitty cocaine, shitty heroin, whatever the fuck they're selling, and they'll still overcharge people regardless. Type shit. I've seen Geminis who have shittiest weed. They have a reputation for having the shittiest weed. Still don't give a fuck. Still sell the shittiest weed. They will believe that their mind is the best asset in any group. The fact that they're in this group, they'll believe that, hey, me being in this group is the best thing. I'm going to this group, even though they show up late, even though they, do whatever the hell they want to do. They're loose cannon. They, they're radical in their ideas. They're trying to, start separate groups and movements within the group and all that type of stuff. They still will believe that their mind is the best mind in the group, even though they don't stick to the mission of the group a lot of times. They get in fights at work. They feel empowered in social settings, but desperate when they're alone. We already talked about that. People being pyramid schemes, fraud, insurance fraud, shit like that. They will steal your idea. You come up with a great idea, they will steal it and figure out a way to convince you that it wasn't fully your idea, it was their idea because they were the part that came up with this, that. So they basically took that part and ran with it. I didn't take your whole idea, I just took the part that I came up with, which is basically the same shit anyway, and they stole it and ran with it. They have a very sharp tongue. They will tell the truth in their jokes. They will make a joke about you and tell the truth in a joke. So you gotta be aware of that. They always want the last word. They gotta get the last word. Very sharp tongue. They live inside their own head. They can't be controlled. They're controlled by their own thoughts. Don't argue with them because they will twist your words. They'll take your words and twist them around and make you have self-doubt in yourself and saying some shit that you didn't even say. You didn't say. They're just really good at arguing, and you kind of start to believe. You're like, wait, hold on, no, that's not even what I said. But this person completes you. Don't fall for that shit. They're very good at twisting your words to make you sound like you said something ridiculous when you weren't being ridiculous at all. These are the meanest yet nicest people that you know. On one half, they will do some incredibly mean shit, and then turn around and do some really nice shit, and you're like, yo, what the fuck? Like, how do I even deal with this person? That's you're dealing with a Gemini. The Joker from Batman, definitely a Gemini. Crazy, insane motherfucker, big smile on his face, doing crazy, chaotic shit. Get away with shit with a smile on your face, definitely. Gemini. Deadpool from Marvel Comics, who is an assassin. He can talk to the fourth wall, all that type of stuff. The way he is, the way he talks, the way he's a different type of comic book character. He's completely outside the box. He can definitely pass for a Gemini. Gemini are masculine signs, so even the women who are Geminis can be masculine. When you look at Angelina Jolie, some way, even though she's pretty, she's gorgeous, you still kind of look at her, you see just a masculine type thing going on there. Yeah, Left Eye, Tupac, Ultimate Warrior, Marilyn Monroe, Biggie Smalls, Aaron McGruder, the guy who made the Boondocks. I love that, brother. I love that TV show. It's a Gemini. When you look at the relationship between the two boys, with Riley and Huey. They're not twins, but you can see the opposite thing, like they're brothers. Opposite energies. You kind of see this Gemini thing going on in there. Yeah, put that right there. Allen Iverson, Gemini. Now, this is the thing I've also noticed about Gemini. You look at Tupac, you look at Allen Iverson, you look at Notorious B.I.G., you look at a lot of Geminis. They surround themselves with people who are not as sharp, or people who are sharper. Sometimes either or. Like, people are completely sharper than them, or people are not as sharp. But typically, most times, people are not as sharp as them. People who are loose cannons. People are kind of, risky. People that surround themselves with risky people who are not as smart as them. But they will always have people in their clique who just like love risk and love, when they really need to get away from that and just, focus on themselves and focus on their own things. But they always will surround themselves with a weak ass crew. Like, when you think about the Outlaws for Tupac, they ain't a weak ass crew, but compared to the way that Tupac wrote and the things he was doing at the time, they were on no level of the things that Tupac was doing. You see what I'm saying? But like what Snoop was, Dre was at the time like that. So You know, but when Tupac started his own crew, it was niggas that was nowhere near on the level he was on. A lot of times, that's the shit Air signs be on, and they know that they surrounded themselves with people nowhere near the level that they on as far as the competency toward whatever it is they're working on, whether it's music, whether it's a business, whether it's this, that. They're gonna be very competent toward what it is that they're doing, and they're gonna be very good at it. You know, but yeah, they need whatever. These people have no routine, no routine. If you try to say, okay, look, I'm gonna put you like when they go to school, go to college, at 9 o'clock, you wake up, 10 o'clock, such happen, 12 o'clock, such happen, 1 o'clock, such happen, 3 o'clock, such happen. It's very difficult for them to stick to a routine. They are their own worst critic. They are very shallow. They're not deep at all. Very difficult for them to get into deeper conversation like, well, I ain't gonna say, you know, astrology on a whole, but a lot of Geminis are not necessarily interested in astrology on a whole more so than their own sign. So, yeah. The movie Liar Liar, if you ever seen that with Jim Carrey, the character he portrayed there is a really good example of a Gemini. Um, they just want to seem larger than life. When you look at a lot of Gemini celebrities, they do. They kind of got that larger than life kind of mythology. Like Marilyn Monroe, um, like Tupac, Biggie, Ultimate Warrior. Even what's his name? The guy that played Captain Jack Sparrow. What's his name? Johnny Depp. I believe he's a Gemini. He's already kind of got a mythological thing going on about him, even though he's still walking around completely alive. Um, you gotta. They have a buy what I'm selling mentality. You know, people will buy what I'm selling. You know, if I try to sell something, they'll buy it. So you gotta keep a distance with them. A lot of times you gotta like love them from a distance. Kind of what the same thing that eventually they begin to do to you. You know, the quicker you can accept that and love them from a distance, the quicker you'll be better off. They won't compliment you sincerely. They will compliment like your shoes or your tie, something like that, but they won't like compliment you as like the type of person you are and say, hey, look, you're a great person. Thank you for helping me with that. You know, you're beautiful inside and out. Like, you know, on maybe the first 2 weeks or something like that, with knowing you, yeah, they'll do it. But then after that, don't expect it. It's very hard for them to admit that they don't know something. That's, you know, hey man, I don't know, but I can, you know, let me see if I can get back to you, find out exactly what the hell you're talking about. It's kind of difficult a lot of times for them to admit that they don't know. They get bored very easily if they're sitting around and nothing's going on. They're gonna start, man, this is boring, man. That's definitely a Gemini. They need to they need to focus on themselves, the twins. It's right. They focus on the internal turmoil, I would guess, of the twins instead of the whole collective. So it's like, how does my lower self feel about what I'm saying, or how does my higher self feel about what I'm saying? That's kind of getting played out more so than the point of what they make it. I hope that makes sense. Um, Logic versus emotion. These typically, like I said, those are two twins. This is a classic uh, logic and reason. There's a lot of information out about logic, reason, and also emotion, and how you separate emotion from uh, logic. Like the new film RoboCop dealt with that exact issue. But I ain't gonna go too deep into that. But um, Geminis are constantly separating their emotions from their logic. You know, they're geniuses at that, and they expect you to do the same thing. Like I said, they don't necessarily even have to have emotional connection to have sex with people. So, you know, they expect you to kind of be the same way, or don't judge them for wanting to live that lifestyle because it comes to them naturally. So you have to know that when you're in a relationship with them. You play a song, like say you're a musician, you play a song for a Gemini, and you say, hey man, once the song's over, you ask them, so what you think of that song? They'll say something like, oh man, it was dope, you need to turn the vocals up and stuff, and like, bring the kick up and the snare a little bit, they won't say something like, it's all super, not gonna say superficial because in their mind they're trying to help you, but the reality is that they don't realize they're not emotionally connected to the situation. They think the emotion a lot of times is getting in the way. I used to follow from that same shit sometimes. Aladdin. You'll see the movie Aladdin. Aladdin is definitely a Gemini. Prince Ali, 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 I don't know whatever. He's definitely got the Gemini. He was, he was presenting himself as Prince Ali, whatever the Ali Ababa, but he was really Aladdin. He was really a street thief. So it's the things she was portraying herself to be was not. She was like Cinderella. Like, so you look at her, things who she really was. She was on the floor, mopping up stuff on the floor. Ended up princess or some party with the prince or something like that. That's some Gemini shit. You know what I'm saying? Start out over here, I'm a queen, princess, but over here I be scrubbing floors and stuff like that. And they able to just bridge both of them unmatched. Where we at? They rest fidgety. The Tasmanian Devil. If you ever seen the Tasmanian Devil, yeah, that's kind of Gemini. JFK was a Gemini. Got his brains blown out. Yeah, that was kind of messed up. I think he was in Lincoln. Kanye West, Gemini. Kanye syndrome when he goes off and, well, I think my music's better than anybody. You look at Donald Trump, same way he's a Gemini, the way he comes out and he's just, well, I'm this, I'm gonna, he's unapologetic the way they come out. Their minds, like I said, they're decaying, their minds decaying, their bodies decaying. It's very difficult to see that up front if you don't know to look at Gemini and see how their minds decaying and how it's moving toward end result. So yeah, I'm aware of that with Donald Trump, and I'm aware of that with all of the Geminis. Johnny Depp, we already talked about him. Prince. I don't know, is Prince a Gemini? I think Prince is a Gemini. I believe he is. No, the artist formerly known as Prince. Where we at? People have a lack of consistency. They want to be everywhere at once. It's called abstract thinking. A lot of times, you guys got to learn how to get concrete, meaning, one step at a time type shit. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. One step at a time. Concrete. A lot of times, they have ADD. A lot of Geminis get diagnosed with ADD at an early age. They can be very superficial. You ever see movies Shallow Hal? With I think what was it, Black Jack and Gwyneth Paltrow. It's a very good movie for Geminis to watch. Can't stick to a decision. They'll make a decision, then change it and say, hey, well, look, the game's changed, the ball's changed. I got to change my decision. I got to be, able to, flex. So a lot of times they lose themselves in their decision making, which is abstract. A lot of times they get anxious. Too much risk. They will hide their Gemini traits. They're very good at hiding their own traits. Especially with like Geminis who know the Geminis and the negative traits, they're very good at hiding them, even though that they know it's pulling on them and tugging on them like a trigger. They're very fickle. The way that they want, specifically what they want. they're bandwagon jumpers. So like, you know, they'll hate the Cubs all year, and all of a sudden the Cubs are blowing up. Everybody's running around wearing Cubs shirts. You know, in Chicago, Chicago Cubs. Then, you know, all of a sudden everybody's wearing Cubs shirt. And then, you know, the Gemini, he would go get a Cubs shirt and go to the Cubs game. You know, he's like, hey, man, it's the World Series. So I thought you hated the Cubs. Hey, man, whatever. That's some Gemini shit, you know. They believe charm is a facade. The movie What Lies Beneath, you should watch that. All Geminis, or if you're dating a Gemini, you should watch the movie What Lies Beneath and think of your Gemini buddy or boo, whatever, your boo thing, when you watch What Lies Beneath. These people are con artists that make you laugh. They're still miserable even when the grass is greener on the other side. These people usually take Ritalin for like ADD or bipolar disorders or whatever. It's one of them. They take Ritalin or speed, and these Geminis constantly have a bells and whistles type of vibe going on about themselves. It's like, hey, more bells and whistles than actual concrete results. So we'll see another evaluation. Right back. I'm gonna pause this. Oh yes, it's time. Why I hate Gemini. This is gonna be a lot of information, so I'm gonna get right into it. Subscribe to my channel. Sign up on hoodx.com. Find me on there. I'm gonna start a group on there called Hoodx Astrology. If you go to hoodx.com, look for the link on it that says Hoodx Astrology. Join that group. That's my group. Find out all about the Hoodx Astrology. Got some notes as usual. This is about Geminis. Now these, oh my God, these motherfuckers, man. I don't even know where to begin. Gemini is the type of people to get themselves killed. Alright? They're not happy until they get themselves killed. These type of people keep pushing risk after risk after risk. Tupac, Ultimate Warrior, a lot of times very two big archetypes as far as how I affiliate with Geminis. Also Marilyn Monroe, Angelina Jolie, very big archetypes, as well as a lot of people I know. But as far as celebrities, a lot of times when I think of Gemini, those are the first four celebrities I typically think of. George Bush Sr., George Herbert Walker Bush. A lot of times I think of him too. Gemini is very unstable. A lot of people don't know about Ultimate Warrior. So crazy. The name of his song, when he came running in the ring, think about Ultimate Warrior, he would come running in the ring and he would shake the ropes. You know, he was known for that. That was his signature. He would get all people charged, amped up. You know what I'm saying? But the thing about that was the name of the song that was playing in the background is called Unstable. And it's a perfect theme for a lot of Geminis. And when you think of Ultimate Warrior, where he rushed in like that and he's shaking the ring and stuff like that, that is a very good way to symbolize a lot of Geminis. And to that unknowingly knowing to that theme song is Unstable. Just real quick, you know, I think a story about Ultimate Warrior, that's called blowing up. Like when you run into the ring, a lot of people know wrestling is staged. So you're not supposed to get yourself too excited and breathe too heavy, because that's called blowing yourself up. And they should tell the Ultimate Warrior a lot of times, man, why you blowing yourself up like that? Why you come running in the ring breathing all heavy? Because, you know, 20, 30 minutes into the match, you can't perform because you done ran into the ring, you know, breathing all crazy. And even though they used to tell him that, he obviously never listened. And that's a huge symbol that I associate a lot of times with Geminis, because they breathe in unstable energy. That they welcome, they breathe unstable energy. Just like with Ultimate Warrior, you know, halfway into the match, he's huffing and puffing. He, you know, was kind of sloppy with his wrestling because he was unstable and he breathed unstable. And a lot of times Geminis breathe unstable. You really need to go swimming to balance out breathing and meditate, you know, while you swim. Daffy Duck, character Daffy Duck, you ever see him where he got his briefcase, you know, trying to talk business. He got little gadgets and gimmicks and stuff, you know, he's a little fast talk salesman. You know, Daffy Duck, I other times associate with Gemini. Two-Face from obviously Two-Face from Batman. Harvey Dent, who was the DA who ended up turning into a villain. Shout out to Two-Face. Obviously he's a Gemini. Gemini is social traders. I mean, they jump from click to click. Like, so like if you in a roller skating, you know, clicks, like say there's like 16 roller skating rinks, well, the Gemini be person who end up in like 4, 5, 6 different cliques, and they be dissing each other different cliques, and they start the drama because this person's jumping from click to click. Like, that's how Geminis are. Where it's like a bunch of rappers and stuff like that, and you got different rap groups. For the Geminis, be the person who go against the rap group, be jumping from clique to clique and stuff like that. That's type type of stuff that Geminis be on. Tupac is a perfect example of that type of. Also, Left Eye from TLC, same thing. Like she ended up getting into a beef with TLC, so you know what I'm saying. That's the type of stuff Geminis be on. They go against their own. They go against the grain. You know what I'm saying. They talk too much. A lot of air signs are guilty. At me as an Aquarius, I'm an air sign. I am guilty. A lot of times I do talk, entirely too much. Sometimes the things about Geminis, they talk too much, but tell you the absolute least shit that you really need to know. Like they talk about everything but what you need to know. That's the thing. Like me as Aquarius, I'm gonna tell you everything that you need to know. Gemini type people are gonna tell you everything around the truth. They're gonna surround lies around the truth. So you gotta read the fine print. That's one thing I always associate with Geminis when I deal with them. Make sure you read the fine print because there's no telling what's gonna come later. Like it's certain information that they'll withhold and reveal it to you as time goes on. So you got to ask a lot of questions up front and get the answers up front. You got to know which questions to ask when you're dealing with Gemini because they're not going to give you all the information. It's never what it seems like on the surface when you're dealing with Gemini. The first hour they go by, the first day they go by, the first week they go by. There's something behind that door that they're not telling you. You know what I'm saying? Whether they got some type of gambling problem, drinking problem, smoking problem, crazy ex-girlfriend, mortgage issues. They in some type of pyramid scheme or something, or they got some type of they have some type of rapper that they want you to give them money to support their rap habit or something. Like it's always something behind closed doors when you're dealing with a Gemini. You have to know this up front. They have non-stop game. Like they do not know how to turn off game. Even as they probably sitting watching this video, they don't even know what's going to be in the rest of the video. They've already figured out this whole video. Everything I'm going to say, it's like a game. They already figured out what type of little slick, cutting edge comment they're going to leave. Because they're always trying to outgame the next person. It's a non-stop game. They cannot turn it off. They will cheat in their relationships. Geminis are notorious cheaters. Men and women see this all the time. They have a concept of the grass is always greener on the other side. They'll have 2, 3, kids or somebody. They'll find a reason to cheat on, whoever they be in a good relationship. They're still always grass is always green on the other side. They always look, necessarily they will always cheat. But Geminis are notorious cheaters. They are not known for being faithful partners. Mercury keeps them talking, keeps them socializing, keeps them in a social atmosphere. They think abstract. They don't necessarily think concrete for the self, for the family, for their spouse. So like that, they type to hold social circles a little bit more value, more purpose in them than dealing with their family. A little bit, not all the time, but so you got to be aware of that. If you don't know that up front, you're gonna know that they love attention. That any type of attention they get, especially you be sitting there talking to them. These type of people be on their cell phone, texting, Facebook messaging, and checking their email while listening to a song. All at the same time. They got a lot of stuff going on. So like, you're not the only thing that they're gonna be focusing 100% of their attention to. They're gonna be focusing their attention on at least like 4 or 5 other things at the same time. They always have a reason why they say they're not two-faced. If you ever go to a Gemini and ask them, man, why is Gemini two-faced? They're going to have a reason. They're going to say, well, we're not two-faced. It's just that you got to understand both. Like that's one thing I always notice about Gemini, that they all know that they're two-faced, but they never admit that they're two-faced. They always have a reason why that they're not two-faced. But, if you really ask, okay, what is somebody that's two-faced? A two-faced person is somebody who says they're going to do something, then they do complete opposite, or they say something they're going to do something, and then they don't do it. That's two-faced. Well, do you fit that description? Well, I said, well, not exactly, because they always have some way to kind of ease around or reason around why they're not two-faced, but they are two-faced. So don't fall for it. Geminis have nightmares. Behind the things they say, they constantly they're controlled by their thoughts. So when nobody's around, it's quiet around. When it's silent, that's when they start. Their minds start going tick, 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 tick. They start thinking about the things that they say, the things that they want to say. They start thinking about their dreams. They get this nervous energy that they can't cut off. Geminis are horrible by themselves. That's why they a lot of times like to be around other people and socialize and be friendly around other people. Because when they by themselves, that's when they turn to the dark side. Because they beat themselves up. They overanalyze shit, and they're controlled by their thoughts. They're controlled by abstract thinking. So what they've been exposed to growing up, the type of music they listen to, the type of things their parents listen to, the type of things their spouse listen to, the type of music that they come across as they grow up. These things are very important when you're dealing with a Gemini, because those are the exact things that's gonna mold their thoughts when nobody else is around. So they need to be very careful about the media they listen to. That's why they need to listen to like highly motivational stuff like that. They need to be real careful of who they listen to, and the the end result, man. Like if you look at Tupac got shot dead. You look at Ultimate Warrior, he died of steroid, or not steroid overdose, but he died 50 years old of a heart attack. A lot of people consider this, steroid abuse. Lisa Left Eye Lopez crashed her car, flipped her car, driving reckless on the street. You know what I'm saying? Marilyn Monroe overdosed in a tub. You see what I'm saying? So you got to look at Gemini and say, okay, well, where does this person take me to? Where is his life go? You know what I'm saying? When you look at George Bush Sr., that's somebody who's 84 years old, who basically started, a lot of people argue, because started the New World Order, the NWO. You'll see 84 years old, president, son president. That's a whole different type of Gemini, obviously. You see what I'm saying? But who Geminis listen to and the role, who they're motivated by, who they listen to, is very, very important to them growing up. So they have to be aware of that, because they have nightmares that if they go down the wrong path, they can't control it. Up late night when these thoughts run through their mind, they have very bad thoughts that they're controlled by if they're not checked. Gemini, I've seen a lot of Gemini women, beautiful women. I've seen a lot of Gemini women like trolls. Like trolls are like warlocks. Shit like it's got a weird face and shit. Especially if they're overweight. Like it's real bad. Just Gemini women want to say overweight. That is not good. I hope you really consider losing weight, because like somebody needs to tell you like your face kind of like a troll. I ain't trying to hurt nobody's feelings or nothing, but like I've noticed that with so many different Gemini women. Gemini women, so about Mercury, that means that's talking, they're close as hell to the sun. It's like, I think it's like 88 days, some shit like that, right? 88 days to go around the sun. You know what I'm saying? So, just like Gemini, the same way they always around, high power people, always rotating around, talking to them, they always trying to be in the limelight, around the energy, you know what I'm saying? Moving around fast as hell. Darth Sidious from Star Trek, if you know what that is, he was a chancellor. He was a dude to kick the whole wall, just like George Herbert Bush. A lot of people associate him with Darth Sidious. Well, these are both Geminis. That's why I believe New World Order really ain't that deep. It's just that, like you dealing with Geminis. You know what I'm saying? So like Darth Sidious, if you watch Star Wars, consider Darth Sidious as a Gemini. It's a perfect archetype of a Gemini. Machiavelli, if you know what that is, from Tupac assumed the name Machiavelli, changed his name, put out a whole other album, that came out after he died and stuff like that, talking about the enemies and stuff like that. It's a whole different ego for him. This is how Gemini think. Just like Left Eye, before she died, she came out with an alter ego called Nina. She was calling herself Nina. It was the alter ego of herself. Geminis kind of think like that. They change with the times. Gemini females, a lot of them will be, I've noticed, I met a lot of Gemini prostitutes who have sex with their clients for free, just because they couldn't really separate that social line between the business of, being a prostitute. I met a lot of, Gemini, because I know a lot of pimps, we used to pimp a lot of chicks, a lot of them was Geminis, you know what I'm saying, and they would fuck a lot of the clients for free, and they used to get into it with their pimps and stuff like that. It was crazy, but yeah, I've seen that a lot of Gemini female prostitutes who have sex with their clients for free. Gemini, yeah, they will break their word. They'll find a reason to break their word because the stage changed or times changed, so for whatever reason they say that they gave you their word, but later on, hey, well, you gotta understand that my word is dependent upon certain situations, such as, and that's how they be on that type of shit. If you're a Gemini, you're raised by your single mother, there's a very, very high chance that you are a renegade and that you probably need to chill your ass out because you a rebel without a cause type shit, and you probably drink too much, smoke too much. Like Geminis were raised by their single parent, like by their mother alone, forget about it. You need a whole nother, like, they need to come out with series of books just dealing with Geminis who parents, you know, who raised by a single parent. You know what I'm saying? Because they are very special, very over aggressive, ADD driven, bipolar, crazy man. Like, they really need to be checked. You know, they suffer depression, all of that shit. Um, yeah, Gemini type people say your bootleg movie don't work. You know what I'm saying? They be like, oh yeah, it's a screen, and you get homeless people walking around in front of the movie theater, shit like that. You know what I'm saying? They be out in front of the street all day hustling. They rap CD that ain't nobody buying. You know what I'm saying? Type shit. They can't even give it away, but they still acting like they got all the money. They still front, acting like, you know, it's bigger than really than what it really is when it's not. They just trying to feed their drug addiction. Um, yeah, good advice to Gemini. Don't run ahead of yourself and get shot in the back of your face by your other real self. I'm gonna say that one more time. Don't run ahead of yourself and get shot in the back of the front of your face by your other real self. This is gonna end part one. We'll be back for part two. Why I hate Geminis part two. Alright, Geminis are insecure about their relationships and social settings. They can be with a beautiful person, but still want to have that feeling like they single or they're not necessarily attached to the next person in the room. So they will give the social abstract people around them, they'll give them more benefit of the doubt than their own spouse. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times, you got to know that dealing with Gemini. They'll start arguments just for the sake of self entertainment, just because it's fun to, you know, entertain. So they'll, like, especially like I know it's a lot of men flirting with women. They use that as a flirt technique. Like Gemini men will start argument, not an argument, but like, you know, just, you know, flirting with a woman, you know, kind of start an argument for their own self-entertainment. Even if they don't get with them, they'll just feel good about the fact that they was just, you know, going back and forth, bickering, flirting with a woman. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of shit. Just for the sake of the conversation, Gemini's be on that type of shit. So a lot of times they smoke entirely too much. You know, a lot of times Gemini don't smoke. It's very important if they don't smoke. So remember, I don't know if you remember part one I was saying how they breathe unstable energy. But when they smoke, that shit is really locking in that unstable energy, that unstable thought when they go through unstable thought. Because a lot of times Gemini get stressed out, they got to smoke a cigarette to get the stress out of their mind. But what they really doing with the cigarette is locking that stress in there. They thinking they smoking to get out of there, but it's really locking it in there. And because they already breathe unstable. And cigarettes help you make you breathe even more unstable. That's why you try to go swimming. A lot of times you panic. Even like when you be swimming, you know, even though you know you ain't gonna drown, but if you just swimming laps, you know what I'm saying? You know you're not gonna drown, you can stop. You know what I'm saying? Just, you know, breathe, relax. But in your mind is panicking when you're underwater and you breathe, you're trying to find a perfect pattern of breathing and swimming underwater. Your mind is going to a panic. Well, it's the same thing. That's why a lot of times people smoke cigarettes, is to get that their mind off that panic, but it's actually doing the quite opposite. So it's very important that Geminis who smoke, that if you chain smoke, you really need to be careful of the thoughts you put in your head while you're smoking your cigarettes, because you really locking in a lot of negative thoughts. You know, Gemini's are notorious for doing it. A lot of Gemini artists, I said a lot, if they not checked, their music get real negative. They smoking a lot, putting out negative music, locking these negative thoughts into their mind. I've seen that a lot of times with Gemini. There's a higher thought that you really need to get to. Yeah, they type of people sell your car to break down about a week or two later. They will sell you bad drugs at an inflated price. I've seen that. I've known several Geminis who sell different types of drugs. It was shittiest drugs, but they would try to sell it at the highest price that they could. I've seen it multiple times. They believe that their mind is the best asset in any group. They don't have to be doing, I've seen this too many times. They don't have to be doing nothing. They can just be the most talking, no action whatsoever. But they believe just because they're there talking that their mind is literally the best asset to the entire group when it's not at all. And like, man, please stop doing that shit. I hate when Geminis do that shit, because it's like, bruh, you ain't gonna do none of the shit you saying anyway. You just trying to get a bunch of fucking zombies to follow you around. You know what I'm saying? When you're not doing none of the shit that you're saying anyway. Please stop doing that shit. Yeah, they feel empowered in social settings, especially when it's people that are desperate. You know what I'm saying? And that's another thing too about them. They feel empowered in social settings, but they feel desperate a lot of times when they're alone, when nobody's around. They do not feel how they feel around with a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? When they're alone, Geminis a lot of times, most of the time, not all the time, but a lot of Geminis hate being alone. You know, so they do not feel as good when they're by themselves. Yeah, they be in pyramid schemes, fraud, insurance fraud, type shit like that. Um, Gemini is notorious. So they will also steal your ideas. You come up with a really good idea, they'll steal that shit and say it was theirs. Or you write a good paper or write, or they'll steal your shit and say that they came up with it. They will tell the truth in jokes. They are jokesters, but in that joke there is some truth in there. Sometimes they're a little too ruthless with their joke. They ain't really be a joke. They be to the point they be talking shit. They be really trying to offend people and piss people off. But they be act like they ain't on some subliminal shit. I've seen that shit all day. Like, these are the people who are fucking creators of like subliminal dissing. That can rap. I didn't even know there's such thing as subliminal diss when I first started rapping. But Gemini type people that put out a whole song talking shit about you, but then don't say your name. Like, or they'll fucking make a whole video talking shit about you, but then don't even say your name type shit. You know what I'm saying? They do subliminal, they'll hint, they'll tell jokes and shit like that to like maneuver around the real issue. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of shit they do. They always want the last word. Gemini's they have to have the last word. Very mischievous, meaning that, like, they don't necessarily want to cause harm, but they do want to cause mischief. They type of people fucking pull your pants down in front of the fucking woman. Shit, it's like goofy shit, stupid shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? You go into the bathroom and they'll smoke up all your weed or some shit. Or they'll fucking, tell you on the way home that they crashed the car when they didn't, or some, just fucking mischievous shit. I'm just making this up. I'm just making this up off the top of my head. I ain't necessarily saying they'll do that, but just whatever you think of the word mischievous, associate that with Gemini. Basically, long story short, they have very sharp tongue. They know how to cut through a lot of bullshit and preconceived notions. Not necessarily preconceived notions, but they know how to flip what you think upside down, even if there is no concrete solution. You know what I'm saying? They'll tell you, hey man, you need to start doing woo 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 woo. Mind you, they ain't done none of this shit, but they telling you what the fuck you need to do. You know what I'm saying? and you like, look, I don't want to do that. Or I'm not ready to do that. And they'll tell you, well, if you don't do that, then this, and then you'll be fucked up. Like, they know how to turn your life upside down and make you look at your life upside down. But then at the same time, they're not going to give you nothing concrete. Like, okay, well, if I do what you're saying, what about the other shit's gonna fuck up? Then they're not gonna really give you nothing concrete. They just want you to like flip the shit upside down and follow them, even though they don't have no real safety net, no long-term plan, no real system or nothing. They just want you to, like, they'll cater to your, these type of people feed on your fears, or cater to your fears, or cater to the worst possible scenario type shit. You know what I'm saying? That's why they good at selling like shit like life insurance and shit like that, or like, what if you die, who the fuck's gonna take care of your family and shit like that, or like, rap music situations. Like, oh well. They type people say, well, I can get you on stage for this much money, or I can get you, I can get you some beats, or I can get you studio time, or I can get you videotaped, or like, or who's gonna do that for you? They try to put it in a situation where like, you have to depend on them, or you have to, trust them, because if not, then the worst possible scenario is gonna happen. Like they type people do shit like that. Geminis can be type of people to twist your words. Twist your words around and shit like that. So you try not to argue, but they'll take different bits and pieces of what you said and exaggerate. Like, yeah, they are big exaggerators. Geminis can be some of the meanest and nicest people that you know. It's very difficult to think about it when you first think about it. You're like, man, how the fuck can somebody be the meanest and a nice person? Because like on one hand, they'll be super nice. And when you meet them in a social setting, you be turning up, having a couple drinks. You might be having a couple smoke with them. Hey man, what's up? Everything's cool. Like, man, this motherfucker cool as hell. But then you don't know that like as they were socializing with you, they're gathering data. They're picking up. They're asking you questions. You know what I'm saying? So, because like a week or two from now, they're gonna be using that information as ransom to fucking get you to join their pyramid scheme, or to get you to fucking, come do some music with them, and they end up charging you or some shit like that. Like, oh, so come to a bar or club where it costs, $10, $20, $30 to get in, and they're gonna be getting money. Like that everything they do is strategic. It's not like they can't just sit down and have a regular conversation, you know what I'm saying, without it going somewhere, without it like there's some type of hidden agenda behind
the shit that they doing. You know what I'm saying? Like even if once they find out that they be talking to you trying to figure out what they can get or what they can't get, and then once they realize that they can't get shit, that's when they gonna move the fuck on. You know what I'm saying? Especially in relationships, like if they get with their spouse, you know what I'm saying? It's a reason why they got with their spouse. Not necessarily because of the way they made them felt. It was because it was like some shit that was necessary for them to do at the fucking time. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, once that shit is fulfilled, they will move the fuck on. You know what I'm saying? Chances are they left somebody like Geminis. They'll get in a relationship. They'll leave somebody at the end of the relationship to get with another. They not gonna just dip. It's gonna be like a transition. Like they be dating two different people at the same time and leave one to get with the other. That's how they end a lot of relationships. Where we at? Man, I lost my page. Well, I guess I can start with oh no, yeah, we good. The Joker from Batman, the crazy ass Joker, that's a Gemini. You watch his mannerisms, the way he moves. Deadpool, I don't know if you know Marvel Comics, you look up the character Deadpool, the way he talks to the fourth wall. He's aware he's a comic book character. It's the way his whole demeanor is. He's definitely a Gemini. Geminis live in their head. They're controlled by thoughts in their head. They think that they're controlling their thoughts, but it's really, they can't turn that shit off. They're controlled by these thoughts. Aaron McGruder from the Boondocks. Love the Boondocks, one of my favorite shows in the world. But if you look at the two characters, Riley and Huey, the way they interact as brothers, kind of like, they're not twins per se, but you see the Gemini complex going on, the two complete opposite ends of the spectrum still working together as opposites. You know, that's very Gemini-like mindset. I'm going to stop the tape, come back for part 3. Back to Gemini's part 3. Geminis are obviously inconsistent and two-faced. They'll tell you one thing, do the complete opposite the next day. Passive-aggressive people, they'll tiptoe around you, micromanage. A lot of times when they're a manager somewhere, they'll micromanage and kind of overdo it. They do not enjoy having sex with their spouse. I mean, at first they will typically, but then as time go by, that's when they start introducing ideas of like threesomes, orgies, and stuff like that, because they more into group sex instead of having sex with just one person. Typically, they don't enjoy having sex with just one person. Geminis obviously talk too much. They're air sign. We already discussed that. I'm expecting a million paragraphs in the comments. As you know, the Gemini's watching this and they trying to think of stuff to say, really edgy, slick stuff to talk about my braids, talk about my background, whatever. You know, they're gonna leave. Like typically, I expect paragraphs. So knock yourself out. These people are super sensitive. They care about the image. Like a video like this, you know, it really strikes a chord in them because they care about the social dynamic, what the social dynamic thinks of them. Because even though they're trying to act like they don't care, most of their decisions are made from a social, collective aspect. So they are very sensitive. You look at Tupac, you look at Ultimate Warrior, those are two perfect examples of very sensitive Gemini. Then you do have the Geminis that do not talk at all. Believe it or not, most Geminis do talk too much, but then you have a whole other group of Geminis who don't talk at all. And I've noticed both extremes. Very rarely do you find good, I mean, I ain't gonna say very rarely, but there are some good balanced Geminis, but I've seen both polarities of Geminis, like Geminis who don't talk at all until it takes them a while to open them up, then they start talking. You know, they finally come out of that shell. But I have met a lot of introvert Geminis as well, but usually one or the other. You watch this movie Avengers. There's a scene in there with Loki killed the agent, the guy who was the agent from Shield. I can't think of his name. And he was dying on the floor, and the agent told him, he was like, "Man, you're gonna lose." And Loki was like, "How am I gonna lose?" He was like, "Man, guys like you always lose." You know, and Loki was like, "Man, I got this going on. We got this. We're about to take over this. We got this going on. How am I gonna lose?" And the agent told him, he said, "Man, you lack conviction." You know, and he blasted him with the gun right after that. And it's a lesson to when they said that scene in there. If you watch the guy who played Loki, I forget his name, the actor, it's true. Like his acting, the way he was acting up to that point, he kind of lacked conviction in playing that role of Loki. And when they said that line, it rang true. Now he's an Aquarius. The guy who plays Loki, he's an Aquarius. You know what I'm saying? But he's also an air sign. But at the same time, Geminis kind of have that same type of thing. Like they just lack conviction. Like you just look at them, you just don't believe them. Like you just don't want to believe them. You just want to say no to them because they lack conviction. They don't look like they believe what they're telling you themselves, basically. Yeah, they're ruled by Mercury. I don't know if we said that before, but that gives them, sets the stage for them to run their mouth entirely too much. Um, to them, life is a game, and every move is a like chess move. You know, they see life as a game. Um, a lot of Gemini men try to be pimps or try to like talk women into doing sexual things, stuff like that. They think they pimps. Um, very sharp and cunning when they want to be, but that's the thing, that they're wannabes. That's their biggest trait, is that they are wannabes. Like, they are never, the grass is always greener on the other side. So as soon as they get something, they can't really appreciate it because they're always looking for the next thing. So that's, believe it or not, that's one of their biggest personalities, is that they're wannabes. Um, what is? Oh, right. You know, as I'm talking right now, or if you're in a conversation with a Gemini, these type of people is thinking, what is the most edgiest, the most, not craziest, but the most striking, the most cutting, edgiest comment that I can make to get this person to go, oh, like, you know, like I don't know if you've seen the Cancer video, had cartoon moments where people go, oh, like they kind of freak out. Like, Geminis are constantly trying to strike that type of chord, and so they're constantly trying to figure out the right thing to say to sound super edgy, you know. They have a split personality, obviously, the twins going on. You find that pretty much in any Gemini information. But if that comes out, especially if they're artists, if they deal with certain art or drama, you will notice them dive deep into their character. I remember when Tupac played Bishop in the movie Juice. When they asked him, they said, "Man, who is your character?" He said, "Oh man, my character is me. He's straight, he's crazy, he's thugged out, he's this, you know." So like, it was difficult for him to, you know, separate the line between the character and the real person. You know, there's no real line drawn there, and you got to be aware of that if you're dealing with Geminis who are in acting or who are in drama. When they play a role, they don't turn that role. They literally becomes that role. Um, right. A lot of they stunts, their little publicity stunts or whatever they call it, it make them look desperate for attention a lot of times. Like when they put out a video, if they're artists, or if they try to express themselves through like poetry or film, stuff like that. A lot of times they come off as desperate because they overdo it. They're it's like driving a car and you just burning out the spark plugs. You just driving these, you know, to the point where you just you know, burn out. That's Gemini. A lot of times they burn out before um, you know, before they should. It also makes them look cheap. A lot of they publicity, you know, marketing technique, whatever they call it, you know, a lot of times they blend their business with their personal self. So if they're a chef, or if they're a rapper, or if they're a dancer, they're an entertainer, or something, it's really hard for them to separate their true self from that role. So the things that they doing, the way that they promoting themselves, the way that they trying to get their name out, slash brand, slash self, a lot of times it looks cheap because it's blended in that way. You know what I'm saying? They need to completely separate. They can't be, you know, a lot of times they scared to introduce their family, their real life, you know, say into their business. Like, hey, this is my family. This is, you know, so, like when you watch a lot of shows on CNBC, you watch The Profit, you watch, you know, other shows where Shark Tank, where a lot of times they present their business, you know, or even in today's day, you on Facebook, you on Twitter, and people got their business online. They present their real self. They're not afraid to say, hey, this is my family, you know, this is so and so, and you know, this is my business, this type of business we run, it's a family business. Like Gemini's, it's very difficult for them to get that. They kind of blend all that shit up into their own image. So the things that they do, the way they promote, it looks cheap. They don't look as convict. Like I said, you like conviction to somebody who's showing their family and say, hey, this is my family, this is who I am, this is legitimately who I am, versus somebody who's trying to make it look like little tricks and, you know, fast, slick talking shit. You know, that person who's more open, who's more transparent, they have more conviction. You know, people don't want to shop with them. People don't want to do business with them before they do business with somebody who's constantly trying to have the next fast, the next gadget, the next hot item. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. So, Gemini's usually somewhere where it's loud. They got loud music playing. You know, people are talking loud cars, or wrestling event somewhere, rock and roll event, you know, party somewhere. They are constantly somewhere where it's loud. So keep that in mind. They're always selling, plotting, planning, and scheming. That's Gemini's chamber. Selling, plotting, planning and scheming on the next thing, on the next, they can have a lot of money. That's the thing with them. They always trying to get more money. They got a big house, they're trying to get a bigger house. They got a beautiful spouse, they're trying to get a spouse that looks better than the one that they went. You know what I'm saying? They don't appreciate the things that they have. So, they're always selling, plotting, planning, and scheming. Thing they need to focus on when the world catches up to them. You know what I'm saying? They always running from the world, but eventually the world always catches up to them. That's why they always find themselves running. So meditate on the notion of when the world catches up to you. You know what I'm saying? White Rabbit avatar. Somebody suffer from all air signs suffer from. That comes from the concept of Alice in Wonderland when she was chasing the White Rabbit. You know what I'm saying? White Rabbit was like, I'm late. He was running away, and Alice was chasing him. He was like, bye, I gotta go. And he took her down the rabbit hole. Well, a lot of times that's how Geminis work. They don't know that that's a negative trait. Geminis are horrible when it comes to time. They're always moving in the sense of, I'm late, I gotta go, I ain't got time to deal with you, I gotta go deal with this, and if you say something, if the conversation start moving the wrong way, if they feel pressure, that's when they trigger. They'll be like, man, I ain't got time for that, I gotta go. Man, I ain't got no time for that. That's the White Rabbit avatar. That's all air signs suffer from that. Gemini suffer from that a lot more than any other air signs because they rule by Mercury, so they moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour. So the White Rabbit avatar is constantly pushing them forward, and they feel like by leaving you, you're gonna chase them like Alice. You know what I'm saying? So, they don't even know that they do this. So, know that about Geminis. They got the White Rabbit. The White Rabbit didn't know that he needed Alice. Because he needed Alice to come to that's a whole nother chat. You can email me about that if you want to know about the White Rabbit avatar if you're an air sign. These people live on their nerves, and they live on their nerves, but their nerves are superficial. So they have a lot of nervous energy, constantly thinking about what the next person's thinking, what's going on in the collective. They kind of see life as a movie, and they see themselves as a character in a movie. So they want the movie, every scene to look perfect and play out a certain way. So they live on that. But at the same time, those same nerves that they're living on are superficial. There's nothing there. There's nothing deep there. It's just a moment right there. There's no father, there's no grandfather, there's no, they don't typically see that far. They don't really see themselves planning a house. Well, I mean, they do see, the house and the car, but they don't really see nothing past that. You know what I'm saying? What are the things you're teaching to your grandkids? What are the things you're teaching to your wife? What are the things you're teaching to, do you know how to go out into the backyard and grow vegetables? Fix a house up, fix a car. You know what I'm saying? Like, concrete things, so a lot of Geminis, they can't really see past the big house and the car and the money. It's superficial. So the same movie that they're trying to make is a very superficial movie. There's really no depth. It's not necessarily a love story. It's more like a hustler story. It's more like the Wolf of Wall Street, more so than Titanic. There's also Avatar. So it's more like Boiler Room, something like that, or like or if you're a female, something like I don't know, but it would be just more of something with Angelina Jolie. You know what I'm saying? It'd be more like a movie like that, some type of shit, like like Salt, or one of those movies. It's more driven in that. It's more superficial. It's not a family orientated, spiritual, religious, or a movie like that. It's more just the 2-hour movie that was hot at the time, and by 6-7 months later, you forgot about it. Superficial. Where I'm almost done. Jehovah's Witness, they pray that you can shut them off. I don't know what the hell that was. I think I was drunk when I wrote that note. But if you do get a Gemini as a Jehovah's Witness, they're not afraid to knock on your door, and they start right. Yeah. If you're a Gemini, you're a Jehovah's Witness. That's what it was. And you knock on the door. These are the type of people that hope that you shut them out for whatever reason, because it's gonna make them think that they're right. And they just keep moving from door to door. You know what I'm saying? They already have like a preconceived, or like if they sell CDs on the street, they sell DVDs on the street. They're a Gemini, or they passing out flyers on the street, and you ignore them for the reason. You know what I'm saying? Like they kind of, I won't say hope that, but they already have like a preconceived notion in their mind what makes them smarter than you just because you told them no on the street in a passing moment. Like they kind of use that to strengthen that's somehow that makes them stronger. So not necessarily that they want that, but they're the type of people that have a whole set life philosophy on, you know, people passing them up in public when they're offering you opportunity. Um, these type of people to tell you say no to drugs, but then they'll sell you drugs. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll be in the dare to keep kids off drugs, but then they'll be selling drugs, you know, out the back of their house, stuff like that. Like they're the type of people who go to drug meetings to sell drugs, or they'll go to like sex addicts class to have sex with the women, you know. And if they haven't ever thought of that, them hearing me say that right now is probably just like a huge light bulb going off in their head, because this is the type of shit that they do. Like they'll go back to Darth Sidious. Like they'll go in there and play the role, but they really is tempting your dark side, you know. So that's the type of shit they be on. Yeah, all right. I've met a lot of Geminis who are really feminists, who are really like lesbians, but they still be prostitutes. Most prostitutes I met were Gemini. You know what I'm saying? And I met a lot of Gemini prostitutes who don't even like men, and who are also feminists. You know what I'm saying? But they still prostitute and sell their body to men. So they have a whole life philosophy on that. Go figure. I'm gonna stop there right here. Alright, hopefully I can bang this last little section out real quick. If you ever seen the movie Liar Liar with Jim Carrey, perfect example of a Gemini. Chris Benoit, the guy, the wrestler who I believe killed his wife, killed his family, Gemini. You can look into that yourself. Bray Wyatt, who's actually one of my favorite wrestlers out right now, he's a Gemini. The character, the dark role, you see, he's really nothing. I ain't gonna say nothing like that, but he's very different from that, you know, in real life. Daniel Bryant, the wrestler, was a Gemini. I think he started the Yes movement, something like that. Andre 3000, Outkast, who is widely regarded, some people, as one of the greatest rappers of all time. You know what I'm saying? Very deep, but then at the same time very superficial. You know, when sometimes you see him as an actor, sometimes like certain things he gets cast into, he's coming off very superficial. But if you know his music, he'd be very deep. So like, you know, you kind of see the twins going on right there with that. Paul McCartney, who's one of the greatest musicians of all time, who was considered two-faced, who was considered superficial by John Lennon. Somebody like John Lennon, he looked at Paul McCartney as superficial. So you can kind of see there the same thing when they say you lack conviction. Alanis Morissette, who started one way, you know, right now she's completely different from the artist when she came in. You see the twins, how she kind of changed up. Talk about things that nobody cares about. Like if you ever heard a song, I think it's called "Dude Looks Like a Lady" or something. You go, no. There's one song that goes, "Talk about things that nobody cares." I think it's called "Sweet Emotion" by Aerosmith. That's sticks to Gemini. They talk about things nobody care about a lot of times, but they make it sound so interesting, you know. But once it's over, it's like nobody cares. They are very good at hiding their emotions, especially with their spouse. They rely on various personalities to protect them. Internal personalities that sometimes they get names, or sometimes they just have colors in their mind they're not aware of. Certain sounds will trigger these different multiple personalities that you have to deal with, and eventually you learn these personalities. It becomes much more easy to deal with a Gemini. They are fickle in love because they love openly. So like, but reject emotion, so they reject love. So I'm gonna say it again. They're fickle in love because they love openly, but reject emotion, so they reject love. Because a lot of times they think on a collective scale, so they think in loving more than one person at the same time. So that's why to their spouse they're gonna seem very fickle, but a lot of times they need a second or third spouse, you know, in order to keep them balanced with all those different personalities they got going on. They're very insecure about love, and they need tons of reassurance. Like you gotta constantly tell them, man, I love you, I'm not gonna cheat on you, I'm always gonna be here. They need to hear that because they're very fickle. They'll jump from person to person. They love to gossip. You know what I'm saying, right? They will run to different women, or different, you know, if they're men, they run to different women. If they're women, they run to different men and gossip about, you know, the person that they with. They're notorious for doing that. They have ADD, can't sit still. A lot of times they sit in their desk and they're always fidgeting, they're always writing, drawing. You know, our teachers talking, they type of people be sitting there drawing, little doodling stuff on their notebook. Can't sit still, always talking about something else, bringing up things that are off topic. They are alert to their own inconsistencies, but they can't own up to them. You know, they're aware that they're two-faced. They're aware that they completely went against themselves, but they still won't own up to it, even though they know. And you can explain it to them, they'll still turn it into an argument. You know what I'm saying? Because they have not grown up, they still got that. It's like a child instinct. You know what I'm saying? So even if you may not even try to argue, you just may point out the fact that they, you know, flipped up on you. They'll still start an argument, even though you weren't even trying to argue, because they haven't grown in that regard a lot of times. What the hell is this? Access to tons of, right, they have access to tons of human experience, but never truly feel it for themselves. They have access to tons of movies, songs, books, stories, stuff like that. They can show you, like, hey man, check this out, check this out, check this out. But like, you know, like Dr. Spock from Star Trek, they don't really experience it for themselves because they, you know, they don't have no feelings. It's kind of like the Tin Man from Wizard of Oz. You know, the Tin Man finally only had a heart. That's the Tin Man. They're very bipolar. They live a fast life. They try to get street money, fast money, hustling on the street. You know what I'm saying? Fast cash, selling drugs, prostitution, working at a bar, stuff like that. That keeps them bipolar because they don't know really balance and just sit down and have a calm life. Once they go home and then there's silence in the house, that's when they start going crazy. I'm rushing through this because I only got like 2 minutes left. They're whores that tug at their heart. A lot of times there's a whoredom that tugs at their heart. You know, being in the street, getting fast money. You know, that street life, it tugs at their heart. So a lot of times you gotta be aware of that if you're with them. Right, because one of their twins is like a whore, not necessarily you know, some of them are sexual whores, but whores in regards to like fame and stardom and wanting to be in the limelight and stuff like that. One of their twins is a whore that's pulling for that limelight, that stardom. So Geminis are not your friend. They always have some type of hidden agenda. They may seem like they're your friend on the surface, but believe it or not, if you don't give them what they want and whatever that hidden agenda is, you will see their true side come out. They will cut you off eventually and find somebody that will. There's a documentary it's called The Self-Destruction of the Ultimate Warrior. If you really want to say it, you can watch that and apply that to pretty much any Gemini that you know, and the things that they say in their disc not only apply to the Ultimate Warrior, but they also apply to pretty much my dog just mounted my other dog outside having sex. It's crazy. Talking about twins stuck together. Yeah, if you ever watch the Self-Destruction Ultimate Warrior, a lot of the things you can apply what those wrestlers were saying to any Gemini that you're with. Believe it or not, Geminis actually have a third face. If you piss them off, you know, like I say, they're two-faced. If you piss them off, if you hold them down accountable long enough, really, believe it or not, they will reveal a third face that don't have nothing to do with the other two faces. So be aware of that. And they also have a multiple personality disorder, meaning that they cannot control the personality shifting. It's a disorder, meaning that there's no order. They pop up depending on which triggers that you push and pull, which buttons that you press. You know, will automatically reveal certain personalities. Like you playing a video game and you get so far and then they reveal a boss character. Like a lot of times that's how Gemini's are. You sit there and press the right buttons and it reveals, you know, certain personalities. So I'm gonna end this part right here. We'll be right back.